Let's get started. What's up, houseplant friends? My name is Sydney and welcome to Peaceful Planting. If you are a subscriber, as always, thank you so much for coming back. And if you are new to my channel, hi, welcome. It has been brought to my attention that some people experience what I like to call as houseplant burnout. What I mean by houseplant burnout is basically any time that you feel overwhelmed with your plant collection, or like you just don't really feel like caring for them anymore, or you're bored with collecting plants. I have yet to experience this, but it has been brought to my attention that a lot of people do experience this. So what I did is invited some plant YouTubers to come onto my channel and tell you all their experiences with houseplant burnout and what they did to engage themselves in houseplants again. So I'm gonna pass the floor over to them. Let's get started.
G'day plant friends, my name is Scott. I'm from Scott Grows an Avocado Tree, and Sydney has asked me to come here today to talk about burnout. And talk about burnout more specifically with plants, but before we do that, I'm going to talk about burnout more generally, and to do that, I'm going to be using an animation.
Imagine yourself as a stove and all the things in your life as burners. There are many burners representing things like relationships, families, friends, work, study, health, exercise, diet, sleep, hobbies, lifestyle, plants, and so on. All of these things require energy, and we only have so much energy in a reserve tank, which gets topped up regularly. Some things are more important and require more energy. During some seasons of life, some things may require more energy than other times. During these times, we are able to borrow energy from other burners. Take some of the gas from the other burners to allocate it to another. Turn down the gas on one to turn up the gas on another. And when all is well, we do this pretty well. We expend energy, but at the same time, we're recharging and recovering that spent energy. Sometimes we may not be able to do that, and so we just turn everything up, or something is up too high for too long. We may not even realize we're doing this until we're running really low on energy, and everything else is suffering. When that happens, we need to step back and wait for our reserves to be restored. In some instances, that can take a long time.
Plants are a fantastic part of life. In the houseplant community, we absolutely love our plants. And there is this part of our culture which I think is a little bit dangerous, which loves to get more and more plants. Now, of course, it's easy to do that when we love them and we love to talk about to the people around us about the things that we've bought and how they're all going, but that can become overwhelming, especially as we get more and more plants. Once we're into a routine, we know our plants, they take very little energy and they are super rewarding for us. But with new plants, it's not that easy. We don't have a routine for them yet. We need to work out where they go in our home, what kind of lighting they need, what kind of humidity they need, what kind of watering they need. We're monitoring their soil levels, we're watching how they respond to different things, we're thinking about fertilizing, what different needs they have, and that takes effort, especially when we're not familiar with them yet. And when we have a bunch of different plants that we're doing that for at the same time, that really does drain us. And so my suggestion, as I would suggest with anything regarding burnout, is that you consider carefully the commitments that you're taking on. Is it the best thing to do to buy because we like the look of the plant, or is it because we really want it, we've been thinking about it for a while? That's not my call to make for you, but we should consider what we bring into our homes when we bring them into our homes very carefully. Sydney, thank you very much for having me. I am Scott from Scott Grows an Avocado Tree, and I'll chat to you all later.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth from Elizabeth Plants, and Sydney from Peaceful Planting asked me what I do when I become burnt out or to fall back in love with plants. This has absolutely happened to me a million times, more than I could even remember. But I find that what I do is I need to seek a success with that plant. It's often that I become burnt out or fall out of love with the plant is because I'm struggling with it, or it's not doing anything, or I just have other plants who are doing so much more. So seeking a success, a lot of times, for me right now anyways, that means sticking it in the greenhouse where it will, of course, grow. Seeing new growth is what keeps me in love with plants, so if they're not growing, I kind of lose interest. Another thing that causes me to fall out of love with my plants a lot of the time is just not seeing them regularly. So if I've got a plant, for example, my Sansevieria cylindrica, I kept that in my hallway kind of behind a sign, and generally I don't see it. I just don't see it at all, ever. And in order to fall in love with that plant, I brought it into or fall back in love, I should say. I brought it into my office where it's right behind the camera and I see it all the time, and now it's starting to grow a little bit because it's getting better light and I'm paying more attention to it, so it's not being super duper neglected. And now I'm loving that plant. Another plant that I have fallen out of love with for sure, they're like illusion syngonium, and it's because I had so many and they were an easy plant to care for, so I stuck them in kind of more hidden places. And number one, I didn't see them. They were not doing great because those places were not the most optimal for them, and I had so many, so they became a little bit overwhelming. In order to fall back in love with those plants, I combined them and I put them somewhere where I see them all the time and they get adequate light. So my tips to you to fall back in love with plants that you lost interest in is to make some sort of change, give them better environment, see them more often, and maybe if they're too overwhelming, combine them. Thanks so much to Sydney for inviting me to be part of this video. I really like this topic. It's definitely something we need to talk about more.
Hey guys, it's Allie from AKI'S Plants, and I am obviously here to talk to you about houseplant burnout. Burning out is when you feel like you're overwhelmed or have no motivation to do something, this having to do specifically with houseplants. I personally have been collecting houseplants for 5 years now, so you can say I've gotten burnt out more than a few times, especially when things are going on in my life that are stressful or just take up a lot of time, or if I'm away from home a lot. And it gets even worse if you have anxiety or depression. But there are some ways that you can get by or get past or get through, or whatever you want to call it, houseplant burnout. And for me, it started with not doing anything on a schedule, not feeling like it's something you have to do. Do a little bit every day, and it is okay to do a bare minimum. I'm going to put a little graphic. I don't remember what her Instagram name is, but I'll put it on the screen here. Cleaning with anxiety and depression can be a lot the same as doing it with houseplants. Do the bare minimum. If you see a plant needs water, or a couple plants need water, just water them. Don't worry about anything else. Just do what you need to do, or work in sections. If you know a section of your windowsill or your shelf needs to get cleaned, just clean that section. You don't have to do everything at once. And it can also help to just sit and spend time with your plants and look at them and really just take your time to pause and reflect on why you love them so much. And instead of feeling like a chore, remind yourself of why you love plants in the first place. They bring you joy, or they give you something to nurture, or whatever. Just take some time to look at them and just be with them, and take a little bit of time every single day to do plant care instead of doing it all at once, because that makes it way more manageable. I hope any of this advice helped you guys, even though it was kind of vague and a little bit jumbled. But I hope you guys get through your houseplant burnout if you're having it or are going to. Anyways, have a good day.
Hi guys, my name is Aki. I have a small plant YouTube channel called Akis Plants. Sydney asked, what do I do to fall back in love with the plants? I guess I've done a few things. I would say number one would be, experiment with your plants. You could either try to propagate, or you could, see if some of the plants can live in water too. So you could put them in water and enjoy seeing the roots grow. Or I've been trying lecas these days, so I have been enjoying that. Putting some of the plants, that's my cat. Oh gosh, putting some of the plants in leca. That's kind of fun for me now. And second thing would be, if you just lost interest in some of the plants, not get rid of it, but you could sell it to someone who might enjoy it. Peanut, my cat. Yeah, just sell it, or put it on marketplace or wherever you could sell online. So I have sold some of the plants that I kind of lost interested in. So I have saving up for those money whenever everything gets back to normal, and I could go plant shopping with that money. So I'm excited for that. And last one would be, yeah, just rearrange your plants. I guess that's what we all do every day, but you could do more, like you could rearrange, you could do little DIY, and yeah, I think one thing you kind of get, lose interest is that because you see it every day, like in the same position. If you move it around, you might, see it in a different way. I definitely love rearranging my plants. Once, like pretty much every day. I hope this helps. Thank you so much, Sydney. Bye.
Hey Sydney, this is Lena from Understories, and I just wanted to come on and tell you a little bit about a few times where I've either lost interest with my plant collection or I've just been a little bit disenchanted with it. So the first one was just the result of being too busy. About a year ago, I passed what are called my preliminary examinations, and in the months leading up to that prelim, I was working around the clock to try to prepare myself, and I just really couldn't think about anything else, including my plants. And in that situation, having a partner or someone else who could take care of my plants, even just minimally, really helped. I would just remind my partner to water certain plants or check on them to make sure they needed water. The second situation was a little bit different, and it happened more recently when the COVID situation was really starting to escalate. I think I went through something that most people did, which was this feeling that everything seemed really unimportant. I didn't really see my plants as something I needed to focus on. My plants really hadn't really done much growing over the winter, and so I think that was part of it. And then so as that started to change and my plants have started to take off again, it's been a little bit easier to re-fall in love with the process and plant care as a whole. The other thing I did, not intentionally to resolve this plant rut, but as a byproduct of other stuff that was going on in my life, like the fact that I moved, is I had to get rid of a significant part of my collection. And so that really forced me to go through my collection and think about the plants that I wanted to keep, that I really loved. I think if I were to convert that experience into concrete advice, I would say, take some time to look at your collection again, even if you're not in the mindset to devote a significant part of your time to caring for them. And if that's not enough, maybe do away with some of them. There are ways, even in these weird times where social distancing is imperative, to make sure your plants go to a new home where they'll be loved and someone can appreciate them. So not being afraid to triage your collection and prioritize the ones that you really want. Finally, also not being too hard on yourself. I had to take a moment not to personify my plants too much because I felt like this huge amount of guilt about getting rid of them. But ultimately they don't care, right? And so if I can get them in someone's care who is actually going to do right by them and shower them with attention, they'll ultimately be much happier. Those are kind of the two situations. I hope it makes you feel better about your situation if you're going through something similar. Thanks again to Sydney for giving me the opportunity to share my experience, and I look forward to hearing everybody else's experiences as well. So thank you, bye.
All right, houseplant friends, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you like this video. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, feel free to subscribe below if you like my content. And if you could drop a comment below with any advice that you have for anyone that is experiencing houseplant burnout. And if you haven't experienced houseplant burnout, you can still drop a comment below and let me know what you think of this video. That way I know you all made it to the end of my video. As always, thank you so much for watching, and stick around for my bloopers. Bye. So we're gonna talk about houseplant. Oh my gosh, houseplant. If you are new to my channel, welcome. We talk about houseplant things. Today in this video, we're going to be talking about blah, 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 blah. That was way too fast. It has been brought to my attention that some people experience other plant YouTubers, what they have done, or if they have, and what they did, or, oh, it's too early for this, and what they did to spark their houseplant love again. What? Alright, houseplant friend, blah, blah, blah. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, feel free to, and if you think it can come in handy for you one day. What? Thank you so much, as always, for... How many houseplant YouTubers are doing this? I'm just not even going to specify a number. I'm not even going to say a number. Today we're going to be talking about... What are we talking about? What video am I filming? Bye!